All right, cool. Note taking on calls. Extremely important thing to do to stay present with the prospect while you're speaking to them. The thing is, if you don't take notes on the call, you are very likely to forget all the specific pain points and pleasure points that the prospect has, and you are going to stay stuck in your head with a question that you want to ask the prospect, but you're waiting for the prospect to stop talking so you can ask that question. So I'm gonna teach you during this video on how to take notes during a call. Now, one of the questions that I mainly get asked about note taking is, Wasim, when I take notes during the call, isn't it like a little bit rude and disrespectful for the prospect? And don't they think that I'm texting with my friends on the call and I'm not interested in the prospect? That's a really good question. And that's absolutely true if you don't share with the prospect that you're taking some notes. So if you are taking notes on your laptop while you're doing the call with the prospect and you don't say anything, they might think you are texting with people and you're not paying that much attention to the prospect. So you wanna not assume that they know what you're doing. You wanna be transparent in your communication and you wanna tell them what is up. So you want to tell them, hey, by the way, if you see me looking down or typing and looking at my screen, know that I'm just taking notes so I can help you better during this call. And so I have your situation right in front of me and I can actually give you the perfect solution for that. And on top of that, I can pass these notes over to our coach after this call. And when you get started with our program, if this is obviously the right fit, then they have a good overview over yourself and your situation and what your goals are. All cool? Okay, perfect. So that is how you take notes during the call. That is how you say it to the prospect. Okay, so let's actually talk about the actual note taking part. So you can do it with a pen and paper, which is good because when you write on pen and paper, then your brain is going to remember that better than typing it on your keyboard, on your laptop. However, most of the time I do realize that I prefer doing it in my notes or in the CRM directly, because then I have a digital copy of it. And let's say I follow up with the prospect in like 3 months or whatever, for some reason that they can't do it during the call. Then I have those notes saved up and they're not going to go anywhere. But maybe I will lose them if I use pen and paper, if that makes sense, right? So if you use pen and paper, maybe you can like notes in the CRM afterwards. But that does seem like double work. So what I personally prefer, using the CRM or using something like Apple Notes, where you keep track, you make a new note for every single lead that you have, and you have a folder called leads, for example. Now, I want you to take bullet points, okay? So don't type essays, don't focus on your grammar, don't do any of that stuff. Keep it very simple. So just write, the main points, and if you have a question that you want to ask or a topic that you want to discuss, and you want to stay present during the call with the prospect, this is how you do it. And this is the life hack, okay? So when you're taking your notes, I want you, for the things that you want to ask still or want to discuss, you make a checkpoint. So in Apple Notes, for example, you can have like a checkbox, you press it, and then in that checkbox, you put the thing that you want to ask the prospect. And then when you have put it there, you're never going to forget because the note is right there in front of you. There's split screen. The Zoom call is partly here and the note is on the left side of the screen. And then you have basically a check list for every single thing that you still need to discuss or ask the prospect. And this way you're never going to forget, because when you ask the thing to the prospect and you have your answer, you press on check on Apple Notes and bang, there it is. It's checked off. And you want to make sure that everything is checked off by the end of the call. And this way you're going to stay present with the prospect. You're not going to forget about, the things that they're saying because you're writing those things down. And also you will be present and you won't be thinking, hey, what question do I ask, blah, 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 because obviously you have it in a checklist within your Apple Notes of that prospect, and then you can just check it off once it's done. Hope this was valuable. This is like really big, so take this one seriously. and I'll see you in the next one. This is one of the most important features that I recommend you guys to use and to apply when you are taking notes with the prospect on a call. I know this is like little bit outside of the technical thing, but I just want to mention it to you because of how important it is. So a lot of the times we are doing calls and we have a question in our head to ask the prospect. But because you have this question in your head, you're waiting for the prospect to stop talking so you can ask that question. But that takes you out of the present moment and you don't listen to what the prospect is saying. And they can feel that. They can feel the fact that you're not listening. And you know that this is true because when you are telling a story to someone, like a friend of yours, and you see them zoning out or they're on their phone, they're not paying that much attention, they're not giving you eye contact, they're not nodding their head, you know they are out of it, right? And then you are like, fuck, man. Like you have this feeling of they're not listening to me. So how do you stay present? One of the number one tips I can give you is using check boxes or checklist, however you want to call it. If you are taking notes with the prospect on Apple Notes, you can do this. Very simple. You just have an Apple Note and then you put the checklist and you do the following. You can also do it in Airtable. So let's say I am on the call right now with Cheyenne, okay? And I want to take some call notes. Call notes, and right now is Saturday, 14. Why do I write the date, by the way? I'm going to tell you guys in a second. So Saturday 14, 2024 is because sometimes there is multiple calls. I'm going to just, give it a bold here. Sometimes there's many calls. So follow-up calls. Maybe in the future, I'm going to call with him. Let's say on Tuesday, which is going to be on a 17th, 17/09/2024. I want to know what I noted down about Cheyenne on every single call. So I called with him on Saturday, I called with him on Tuesday, and then, I put the notes for the specific call under that thing. And maybe I put some dashes here, so I have it separate. Cool. So let's say I'm taking notes with Cheyenne. He's like, okay, Bali loves Latina women, wants to travel more, wants to go from 10K per month to balling 80K per month so he can flex more. Now, this is even too much info because I actually don't recommend you to type notes like these. I'm trying to be funny here. But actually, the way I recommend you to write notes is more simple. Bali, Latinas, travel, flex, 10K now, 80K future. Why? Because if you write like this, it's too much. You're fucking writing the whole time during the call. Do not do this. I see also some of your call reviews and I see you typing or writing all the time. And you want to type and write, and that's fine to do with the prospect, but not like fucking crazy, So I want you to use this type of note taking instead of this type of note taking, just like a little side note. And you understand what this means because, you have the call. So this is, that this means he's in Bali. You know that this means he loves Latinas because you talk to him, right? So it's enough for you to remember. Now, how to stay present during the call is using these checklists. So let's say I want to ask Cheyenne about why 80K. Okay, so how does he come up with that number? But Cheyenne is still talking right now about some other things. He's talking about what he's doing now in Bali, and he's talking about, the Muay Thai sessions he's doing and the people he's meeting, and he's talking a little bit about the Latinas. And I don't want to interrupt that. I don't want to suddenly say, hey, why 80K when he's explaining these things. I want to be present. So I just put a checklist with why 80K. And then it can stay there. And I know by the end of the call, I want to have checked off the boxes. So you can just check it off like this. All of them, okay? But for now, I can just be present with him and I can write this question down. And maybe I want to ask him like, how much money saved up now. Let's say I want to ask him this question, whatever. I put it here and I can check it off once I ask, and I don't have to remember in my head that I have to ask him this question. Cool? This is extremely important, guys, using checklists during your calls, because then you can stay present with the prospect.